This video is going to be a look at the Lions' overtime drive where David Montgomery and the offensive line took over, basically punching the ball downfield 80 yards to finish off the Rams in a 26-20 overtime win. It was a fun game to rewatch. I think it was a little frustrating for most of us watching the Lions defense get kind of chipped away at by the Rams passing game, their quick passing game by Matthew Stafford. But this final drive, masterpiece, if you ask me, in the run game, physical by the offensive line, great execution, particularly on the zone concepts. I would say two very intricate and extremely well executed run concepts. A little bit of, I don't know if I want to say they were playing a different game than the Rams defense, but the Rams were staying in a too high look, and at times they were just outnumbered at the point of attack. That sounds very simplistic to say all you got to do is get out of your too high look, but numbers wise, some of the things the Lions were doing was creating a little extra space, particularly on short yardage situations. I'll go over that. It's basically aligning a wide receiver tightly where he shouldn't be and adding him to the blocking scheme. The corner, the outside corner, is not added to the blocking scheme commensurate by the Rams defense. Neither is a safety, so they're in a real heap of trouble, particularly against 11 personnel. I'm going to try to go over this in pretty detailed fashion. You guys have to let me know if it goes on too long, number one. Number two, if I'm late to the game, if multiple other people have broken it down at this point. We'll go through every play. So this first one, it's an amazing call, the reverse. Absolutely similar conceptually to what they ran with Jameson Williams earlier in the game. I broke that down in a film study video I did on Jameson Williams Monday night. I'll link that up here in the video at some point so you can see it. But you got a lot of things going on to draw the defense to this side of the field. So first of all, the left guard is going to pull and go to the field side, number one. Laporta is going to motion across. So you've got two factors there. Number one. Third to that is the play fake by Goff that gives the illusion that Montgomery's going to get the football, and he takes an absolute shot from Byron Young on the backside. Goff, after executing the fake handoff, is very nonchalant. His body language actually changes right around the time the fake handoff with Montgomery occurs. I think that's coached. I think that's intentional. So it looks like he doesn't have the football. And then a very cool and smooth flip to Khalif Raymond. Why is Amon-Ra St. Brown running down the line here? Because he's trying to pin down on this defensive end. His job is to pin down on that DN, make sure that DN doesn't disrupt the reverse, because there is some vulnerability in that area there for a reverse. Maybe I drew that box a little bit too large, but the point is St. Brown is following his man that he's supposed to pin down on. Young tackles Montgomery, and man, look at what you have set up here. Ragnall out on the corner. Sewell is going to loop and basically look to pin or seal inside. A couple of other linemen get involved here. And yes, it's very easy to sit here and say, if we get this safety blocked up right here, we are in business for a huge play. I think that the possibility exists there. But look, the Rams, I don't know Roseboom nor anything about him, but watching this game, it is very hard to imagine that this isn't a 120 to 140 tackle per season guy. Now that maybe he loses his starting job in 2 weeks. Maybe there's some things he's not good at that I didn't see on film, but this guy, he plays at warp speed sometimes in pursuit. Same play, end zone angle. 56 is going to be involved here, whether the safety is in the window or not, because he just runs down from the backside. He gets credit for the tackle along with, I think it's Lake 37. It's a great design, don't get me wrong, but I am so impressed with their inside linebackers, particularly with them losing Ernest Jones. So now second play of the possession, it's 22 personnel, and you can see that the Lions have shifted. First Laporta, and then the fullback, who's in front of the tailback. I call this slot I. So fullback and then two tight ends, and they're just zoning this with a lead blocker. Ends up going for 21 yards. I thought that Ragnow and Zeitler on this possession, I mean, Sewell was a given. He's played excellent throughout the game, minus a couple of snaps where he's a little off balance, but he makes a call. First of all, Sewell makes a call to someone, probably the fullback, letting the fullback know what he's going to do with 91. And then Zeitler and him are comboing this D tackle. You've got a combo on the nose tackle, I believe, 95. and Ragnow stays on him. Glasgow peels off, and Montgomery hits that precise gap. You'll see it from the end zone angle here in a moment. Ends up being 21 yards. Damn near went for more. I think that as physically dominant and impressive as this drive was, there's 3 plays here where you're like, they almost could have scored on that play. I don't mean they should have, but there's just a level of dominance here whereby the Lions are absolutely in control of this. On this particular drive, and this is a Rams defense that played extremely well throughout the game. I thought very smartly played zone, kept things in front, seemed to get in the way of Jared Goff making quick decisions. On this drive, this looked like something first possession of the game where you say this team's going to win 45-0. Additional to this, these other blocks being important, is Taylor Decker on the backside being able to cut off the D-tackle Fisk. So you've got Ragnow, who comboed to the nose tackle. You also have the left guard, I think Glasgow, who went up to the inside linebacker, 56, and then Decker cut it off. You can see the seam that's been created all the way over on the other hash after the ball started on the left hash. So not just strength, physicality, awareness, but agility by the offensive lineman to be able to do all the things they just did on the move. So what's Ben Johnson do? Same play. Slightly different, quote, shift or motion. Laporta went first and then the fullback, and a little bit different release by the tackle to the side. That could be related to how the defense aligned here. So once we get these guys set up, there is a little bit of a level of trust here with the left guard and left tackle, because the left tackle is going to basically release here to the edge so that the left guard can essentially be left alone to reach this defensive tackle. Looks like a 4-eye to me. You'll get the end zone angle in a moment. So slightly different from the way they handled it on the other side, the previous play, because on that one, Zeitler and Sewell comboed it. In this case, Decker releases outside to go help out with the edge defender. And so Glasgow is all alone with that 4-eye. And I think you have a really nice job by, I think it's Zeitler, 71, and Ragnow, 77, staying on their guys. This is the same play, end zone angle. Staying on their guys, staying in the fight. Here you got their combo on the nose. Again, there's the tackle stepping out to help out with the edge defender. One-on-one with the D tackle is Glasgow. And watch these two guys. Watch these two guys stay in it and then kind of fold back. And I think that influences Montgomery to be able to get out of there, squirt out of there a little bit. I guess more so it was Zeitler on that one and not Ragnow. That one went for 9 yards. At this point, I don't know about you, it's like, how far can they push this envelope in terms of just putting Montgomery back there, direct flow, giving him the football, other than the first play being a reverse? A brilliant call. This is sick. To have this level of talent at the running back position, first of all, it's 11 personnel. And I want you to remember that a little bit later in this drive. You got left to right motion by St. Brown, and that brings the nickel defender with him. St. Brown runs a wheel, release after the motion, and you get an inside release by, I believe that's Raymond. So what you've done is you've kind of forced those defenders, the outside corner of the nickel, to carry them and then run Gibbs on a little flare, swing, whatever you want to call it, into the flats. Basically clear out that part of the field, force 51 to go defend him. Just too much room unless 51 expands. And if he's going to expand on that motion and that reaction pre-snap, then they're probably going to run some type of counter coming back. I do think that he should be matching a little bit of this width here. Ends up being pretty far behind Gibbs, if you ask me, by the time Goff throws the football. When you are at a speed disadvantage and when you're playing inside linebacker against a talent like Jahmyr Gibbs, you are certainly at a speed differential. Sometimes you've got to get moving a little sooner than maybe you want to. This is a F counter play. Keep this one in mind as far as two of the plays here in a moment. But very similar to the motion that they ran on the reverse, the first play of this drive. 12 personnel. Motion across, and then going to kick. He's going to kick out this edge defender here. It's F counter, so the right guard and the other tight end are kicking out, right guard, Then the tight end going to try to loop. I think it's Laporta. Only ends up being 3 yards, but it's related to, it's the same motion, pretty much the same formation as the reverse to Raymond on the first play. So what you've got here is an example of Ben Johnson making multiple play concepts look the same post-snap with the movement by the tight end. Sometimes it's a step by the running back. In this case, it only goes down as a 3-yard gain, so it seems to be somewhat inconsequential. Again, you've got one of the inside linebackers on the bottom of the pile. In fact, both of them are there. Creates a 2nd and 7. And a totally different run concept. Illustrates a little bit of the versatility, if you ask me, of Ben Johnson's system. And it's a great job by the left side of the offensive line. It's what I would call a same side run out of 11 personnel. So ball's on the left hash, and the 2 receivers are to the field. So there's the nickel defender. With the tight end here, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a 3 technique to that side. So even without even looking at the field, Ben Johnson could tell you were going to get a 3 technique that we're going to combo here. Tight end stepping out to this edge defender, and I would call it a same side run because Montgomery's on the same side, his left, where the intention of the run play goes. Ragnow and Zeitler working the combo. Ragnow almost leaving a little earlier than I would have thought. Edge defender tries to fold inside. Montgomery powers through, I think, for 6 yards to create a 3rd and 1. So you're going to see repetitive concept here from the Lions that's related to 11 personnel and the alignment of these 2 receivers here. Notice the edge defender up to the top. He is outside of Khalif Raymond. The Rams are in their 5-1 front, so they've taken out one of the inside linebackers. My suspicion is that it was because the Lions are in 11 personnel. Recall the swing pass on this drive to Gibbs out in the right flats was out of 11 personnel. So my suspicion is that these, whatever the call was, these 2 edge defenders here had like a peel call for a running back trying to cross their face and get out into the flats. I believe that the Rams DC, among other factors, I'm sure, was trying to make sure that they didn't get beat by a simple swing pass again. And that is not the game Ben Johnson was playing. You have, I think, an illustration of him playing the game at multiple levels. It almost reminds me of Doctor Strange from the Avengers. I think it's Doctor Strange who can like appear in different places at the same time. Ben Johnson almost seems to be doing that. Because of that tight alignment here, the wide receiver, Raymond, is going to release to the inside of the outside linebacker's alignment, and then St. Brown is going to go to the outside. They are basically isolating that edge defender so that the tight end can kick him out. And this is a short yardage. It's 3rd and 1. So you're not trying to gain 8 yards here. In fact, you do gain 8 yards. But the point is, I think, trying to widen that edge defender up just a little bit more. Maybe it's another 16, 18 inches so that on that downhill run concept by Montgomery, you have more space to ensure that you get the first down. And at that point, you'd have 4 downs from inside the 10-yard line, pretty much guaranteed to be able to get a first down, or be able to get a touchdown. Left tackle kind of beat here to the inside. I think that's Young. Maybe that's not Young. My apologies. I got the numbers mixed up a minute ago. And Montgomery powers downhill behind a surge. At that point, the battle, multiple battles had been won by this defense, by this offensive line against this defense. Were they tired? Was the Lions O-line just pissed off? Were some of these concepts just, Ben Johnson's best stuff saved for the right time? Maybe there's a little bit of each of those elements, but brutal result. Montgomery, is probably, I would say, one more surge from being in the end zone on that play or being really, really, really close. Same dynamic exists here after the timeout. Now it's 12 personnel, but look at the alignment of Jamison Williams. There is really very little recognition from the standpoint of the Rams defense, if you ask me. Now, yeah, they're in their goal line look. They've got 4 down linemen, an edge defender, one inside linebacker. So that's great. They've created a 7-man front in a little bit different way, but there's no reason for that edge defender to not be in a flat stance and just kicking Jamison Williams' ass to kind of clog up that edge. Is it going to stop this run play, which essentially ends up being kick? I mean, no, you're so close to the end zone. Again, the war has almost been won by so many battles being won to this point. But it's the same concept as what I illustrated a moment ago. Jamison Williams is going to step inside of the edge defender to go get the safety or DB. And what that's done is just by Jamison Williams being there, that edge defender's lined up 16 to 18 inches wider. You don't want to put the wide receiver's feet, you see where Jamison Williams' foot is here. Let's say that they lined him up another yard wider. Well, then the edge defender would probably kick inside and be in a better position to step down and stop the run is a poor choice of words. Have a better opportunity to clog up that off tackle gap as opposed to being widened up a little more and then the tight end in motion kicking him out just enough such that Montgomery can fit inside of there. Yeah, Montgomery was physical. He's probably going to make it work anyway, but the scheme, the design, I think probably was one of Ben Johnson's best, not just drives from a physicality standpoint, but diversification of the run game. You got the reverse. You did have two lead zone concepts, the 22 personnel zone concepts that I showed you. First one for 21 yards by Montgomery, and the second one I think went for 8 or 9. The short yardage runs I think are just brilliant. And were you a Rams coach or someone involved, and you get to look at it again, well, short yardage at that point, they're running so downhill on you, you're probably not going to stop it. But, having a wide receiver, Khalif Raymond, Jamison Williams, lined up so tight to the right tackle, so I feel like, number one, is an indicator about where they're going. Number two is also something that you could use as a defense to say, okay, we're going to win this matchup. And if they do come here, which they did both times, then we think our edge defender is going to be able to overwhelm your guy. Now, he could still get kicked out by the tight end who's in motion. The point is, it was brilliant alignment, pre-snap, and formation and play calls by Ben Johnson. Great execution by the offensive line. I thought Zeitler and Ragnow played exceptionally well on that particular possession, staying with blocks, showing their athleticism. To be honest with you, Zeitler and Ragnow next to each other is an extremely interesting dynamic. Last year, Zeitler played next to Tyler Linderbaum, one of the most athletic centers in the league from a quickness standpoint. Ragnow's incredibly balanced, obviously a lot bigger than Linderbaum. In any case, man, this is my breakdown of the Lions' final drive, what I would consider to be a fifth-round knockout or overtime knockout, whatever you want to call it. Montgomery took over, powered, propelled by his offensive line and the play calls that Ben Johnson used. Only one pass on the drive. Gibbs and Montgomery as a duo is a spectacular asset to have. It's I don't get into nor care about running back 1, running back 2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 designations. I personally don't think they matter. I understand that that is how people refer to football nowadays, probably because of the influence of fantasy football in some cases, but I like the fact that you've got Montgomery and Gibbs here for a while, at least 2 more years, I believe, based on the contract Montgomery signed. And depending on the situation, depending on what you're trying to get accomplished, Ben Johnson can go to either guy and be super effective and dangerous, and then even alternate them during the course of the drive, like you saw here. Gibbs had the swing pass for 12 yards, I think, out into the right flats, and then a 3-yard run on an F counter play. Fun drive to watch, fun for me to try to break it down and produce a video for you guys to enjoy. So let me know if you enjoyed it. First of all, if you think I missed any elements of the run game, feel free to let me know in the comments section. If you have a suggestion for a video that I could put out further, let me know. I will be putting out a video on the Lions coverages. That'll probably be pushed to Wednesday. Wednesday evening is my guess, just because of time commitment and or other commitments that are going to take up my time between now and then. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this film study look at the Lions' final drive, really finished off the Rams' defense, I thought it was a foregone conclusion after 4 or 5 plays, that the drive, 3 or 4 plays actually, that the drive was over. They were going to be able to score. Then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.